Succession is arguably one of the best shows right now, and it's set to make an everlasting impact in TV history. There is undoubtedly a whole cascade of videos discussing its depiction of family legacy, given that it's centered around a media mogul family amidst a succession crisis, many of which talk about how old money culture is reflected in its costuming choices. Why do people care about what the characters wear? Or why should they? Because at a glance, they're not particularly interesting, such as previously similar shows like Gossip Girl or Dynasty. In fact, I'd even go so far as to say that the costuming is incredibly bland. But that's actually exactly the point. The last year has brought on an age of what the internet deemed as quiet luxury. The post-nouveau riche era has finally dawned upon us. Gone are the flashy logos and ostentatious displays of wealth. It has apparently become fashionable to not simply look wealthy, but to look as though one has acquired wealth through generations of being well-connected and entrenched in the upper echelons of society. I see video after video, short after short, of this is what old money families wear, here's how to dress like old money, or old money brands you need to know, using Succession as the ultimate example of quiet luxury or stealth wealth, when it really shouldn't. On the outset, it seems that the Roys are the epitome of old money, and this is somewhat reflected in their wardrobe choices. I say somewhat because I'm prepared to argue that the costuming doesn't signify that, and that they're actually one of the worst examples. Okay, so before you start throwing your iPad off a yacht and screaming,
"Oh, fuck off,"
hear me out. Old money is, as defined by Google, wealth that has been inherited rather than earned. We know from the show that Logan came from quite literally nothing. He did not come from any wealth or inheritance. Waystar was built by him from the ground up. And since it's a common agreement that wealth must be accumulated and sustained for more than 3 generations to constitute being old money, it's safe to say that the Roys are not old money. But the biggest dead giveaway of the Roys being nouveau riche is the way they talk about money. It's set out very early on in the show that the issue of money flies out the window very quickly, if it even is an issue. It's all just numbers to them. The center of the show's premise is about power, how power play and meticulous manipulation are integral to its family dynamics. Every word said, every number raised, however many billion, is a means to an end. And every little detail in the background reflects this. For example, the locations they find themselves in are all objectively expensive and exclusive venues, whether it be Logan's upstate apartment, the Hamptons' country home, Connor's yacht, but none of it looks appealing in any way. And the way it was shot made sure the audience understood this point. I remember watching the Roys go on their helicopters just to get to a baseball pitch in the first episode, wondering why everything looks so dull and gray, and then realizing as the show goes on that it's a deliberate and stylistic choice by the showrunners. The yacht episode in Season 2 and the Scandi Retreat episode in Season 4 showcase some of the most luxurious locations, yet consisted of some of the most stressful scenes that you have no time to notice and think about how ridiculously expensive it is to just casually vacation on a yacht or rent out a whole mountain just for a corporate retreat. This is a stark contrast to most shows about ultra-rich families, like Dynasty for example, or even Gossip Girl, which by the way feature actual old money families, where they make sure you get to see a full sweep of the location they're in as a blatant display of their opulence and wealth. In Succession, locations are just locations. To us normal people, we revel in all the exotic places they get to visit. To them, it's just a venue for discussions and negotiations. So therein lies my point that the same can be said about the clothes they wear. There are pages and pages on the internet analyzing their outfits. How this cap Logan wore, while unassuming at first glance, actually cost $1,000. Or Kendall's $300 Alexander McQueen t-shirt. Or Shiv's $1,000 Ralph Lauren turtleneck. Videos inspired by their wardrobe choices, deeming it the template for the old money, quiet luxury, logoless aesthetic. But the internet seems to have missed the point of the show's costuming decisions. Their understated look serves the same purpose as the locations the Roys go to. It's a detail in the background, a storytelling device, which tells us that, while their clothes may cost thousands of dollars a piece, which is extortionate for most of us, it's all just numbers to them. Clothes are used as a means to cultivate a carefully crafted image. The Roys are well-known public figures, so how they dress will naturally be under public scrutiny. And throughout the show, it's been emphasized time and time again that the image of family unity and wholesomeness must be upheld. Most of the outfits in the show are suits and corporate work attire, which brings a sense of being understated and professional, all of which contributes to upholding that image. The wardrobe choices are also utilized to show an image of fitting in with WASP society. In the second season, the Roys were looking to acquire Pierce, another news and media family company. And what's so interesting is that Pierce is actually an old money family, whose wealth has been in the family for generations to the point where no one in their family works. Turnhaven is one of the best episodes in showcasing the struggle and conflict between the new and old money, where you can see a clear divide in their family dynamics and upbringing. While the Pierces indulge themselves in culture such as traditional politics and Shakespearean literature as a strong representation of their family legacy, the Roys rely on their cunning business tactics and corporate power plays. Put simply, the struggle between new and old money is not really evident in their clothing so much as their attitudes towards wealth and social status. The Pierces, secure in their ancestral wealth, have a sense of entitlement that comes with their old money upbringing. They understand the responsibility that accompanies their wealth and the importance of maintaining a dignified appearance. On the other hand, the Roys are driven by ambition and the pursuit of power. Their clothing choices reflect their desire to project an image of success and influence. It's all about upholding optics. So while on the surface, their clothing choices may create an aura of subtlety and quiet luxury, there is a lack of refinement and sophistication as seen in their behavior, which starkly contrasts the Pierces. And while the Roys may attempt to emulate the refined style of old money families, their characteristics and behavior fall short in capturing the essence of true old money fashion. The divide between the Roys and the Pierces emphasizes the complex dynamics and societal expectations that come with inherited wealth and lineage, which transcends one's fashion choices. It's seen in a difference in how the two families view money and the use of money, as well as having a proper construct for a family's inherited wealth which has been in the family for generations, in which the Roys do not have. Succession offers a nuanced portrayal of the intersection between wealth, power, and fashion. While the show's costuming choices contribute to the storytelling and character development, it is important to recognize that they do not provide a comprehensive understanding of old money fashion the way the audience seems to think. The fashion choices of old money families have long been a subject of intrigue and speculation. However, it is crucial to acknowledge that there is no definitive answer to what old money actually looks like. Old money families are known for their discretion and understatement when it comes to fashion. They do not seek attention or validation through their clothing, but instead focus on quality, craftsmanship, and its long-lasting nature. They value longevity and invest in pieces that can be worn for years or even decades. This is because there is an emphasis on tradition and heirlooms, which can be passed down for generations. They understand that true wealth does not need to be flaunted or announced. It speaks for itself through refined taste and a cultivated sense of style, all of which the Roys, on the surface, possess. However, it is evident that what they own, including their clothing, have not been passed on for generations, and wealth is spent frivolously without a second thought. And there are many visual cues which highlight this, from how expensive food were so callously thrown away in the Hamptons, to Kendall's overly indulgent and extravagant birthday party, to Logan literally buying medals from war veterans and passing them off as his own. The Roy's philosophy signifies that everything they own can be bought and paid for, as opposed to being curated, nurtured, and passed on. Even Logan's meager link to the upper class through Caroline's aristocratic background was in a way bought. The highly infamous scene regarding the ludicrously capacious and gargantuan bag is ironic, given that it comes from one of the most old money brands which has been worn by every upper class and aristocratic family. So while the Roys may have expensive taste or know what's appropriate to wear in upper class circles, all it tells us is that they know how to spend money and be rich. It is not a signifier of class, nor it is a signifier of old money. I personally love Succession's costuming choices. Like every shot, dialogue, and backdrop, it contributes to storytelling. But it is not the be-all and end-all of old money fashion like everyone seems to think it is. All it means is that the Roys are just trying to blend in with the upper social circle, as obnoxiously as some of the typical nouveau riche are in real life. The fascination with old money fashion and the desire to emulate it is rooted in our collective curiosity and longing for a sense of heritage and refinement. Old money represents a world of privilege, exclusivity, and a seemingly effortless sense of style. The allure of old money fashion lies in its elusive and mysterious nature. However, we have to recognize that old money cannot be bought or imitated through clothing choices alone. It is not just about wealth, but also a deep-rooted culture, upbringing, and societal connections that are passed down through generations. It is a complex tapestry of history, traditions, and values that cannot be replicated by simply donning expensive garments. In our quest to understand and emulate old money fashion, we often turn to popular culture, such as television shows like Succession, which offer a glimpse into the lives of the privileged. And while these portrayals may capture certain aspects of the lifestyle and fashion choices of the wealthy, they should not be taken as definitive representations. So ultimately, the fascination with old money fashion stems from a desire to be part of a world that seems glamorous and refined. Yet it is essential to recognize that true elegance and sophistication cannot be achieved through mere mimicry. Old money fashion is not about following trends or displaying wealth. It is about embodying a timeless sense of style, grace, and understated luxury that is cultivated over generations. So instead of trying to boil down what's essentially a long-standing, rich culture and years of history into a fleeting aesthetic, we should be fixated on cultivating our own individual style. Because the only thing that never goes out of fashion is wearing whatever the hell we want.